Was I wrong for orchestrating the most elaborate, most talked about prank in our school's history? A prank that not only brought the entire student body to its feet, but also, quite literally, brought down the world's strictest principal? You tell me. Because looking back, the chaos, the sheer audacity of it all, feels like a movie, and I was the unlikely director of a truly epic, albeit highly illegal, blockbuster. It all started in my freshman year, when I first encountered Principal Thorne. She wasn't just strict. She was a force of nature, a living, breathing embodiment of every school rule ever conceived, and then some. Her hair was always pulled back into a severe bun. Her glasses perched precariously on her nose. And her gaze, oh God, her gaze could curdle milk. She patrolled the halls with an almost predatory efficiency, her heels clicking like a metronome of doom. Detention was her favorite pastime, and she handed it out for offenses as minor as untucked shirts or talking too loudly in the lunchroom. The school, once a vibrant hub of teenage shenanigans, had slowly transformed into a silent, sterile environment under her reign. Laughter was hushed, friendships were formed in whispered tones, and even the most seasoned pranksters had either been expelled or had simply given up, their spirits broken. I, however, was different. I thrived on chaos, on pushing boundaries, and on the thrill of the chase. I saw Principal Thorne not as an obstacle, but as the ultimate challenge. My initial pranks were small, almost amateurish in retrospect. Swapping the sugar with salt in the teacher's lounge coffee pot, changing the school's digital sign to display, "Honk if you love detention," or subtly rearranging the pictures in the principal's office so that all the eyes followed her. They were minor skirmishes, tests of the waters, and while they earned me a few stern warnings and a growing reputation, they never quite hit the mark. Thorne was like a well-oiled machine. She'd find the culprit, deliver her lecture, and move on, her resolve unyielding. The other students, while amused, often looked at me with a mix of awe and pity, knowing that eventually Thorne would win. But I wasn't just aiming for a quick laugh. I was aiming for a revolution. I wanted to shake things up, to bring back the life that Thorne had systematically drained from our school. I wanted to show everyone that even the strictest authority could be outsmarted, if only you dared to dream big enough. The idea for the ultimate prank began to form during my junior year, fueled by a particularly egregious incident. Thorne had suspended a kid for wearing a band t-shirt that she deemed inappropriate, because it had a skull on it. A skull. It was a harmless graphic, and the kid was a quiet, artistic soul who wouldn't hurt a fly. That was the moment I realized her strictness wasn't about maintaining order. It was about control, about crushing any hint of individuality or defiance. That suspension, that unjust punishment, lit a fire under me. I knew I had to do something so big, so unforgettable, that it would echo through the school's history for years to come. I started recruiting. Not just any students, but the cleverest, the most resourceful, the most disgruntled. I found Sarah, a tech wizard who could hack into anything, Mark, a master of disguise and infiltration, and Emily, an artist with an uncanny ability to create realistic props. We became a secret society, meeting in the abandoned boiler room beneath the gymnasium, sketching diagrams, drafting plans, and whispering conspiratorially under the flickering emergency lights. Our target: Principal Thorne's annual Excellence in Education Gala, a notoriously stuffy affair where she would parade her achievements in front of parents, teachers, and local dignitaries. It was her moment of glory, and I intended to turn it into her moment of infamy. The plan was intricate, a multi-layered assault designed to be both humorous and deeply embarrassing. The first phase involved subtle infiltration. Mark, disguised as a new janitor, spent weeks memorizing the school's layout, identifying every camera, every alarm, and every blind spot. He even managed to get blueprints of the principal's office, including the exact location of her personal safe, where she kept, among other things, the master key to all school doors and, more importantly, her meticulously prepared speech for the gala. Sarah, meanwhile, was working on the digital front. Her mission was to hack into the school's PA system and the digital display boards, gaining full control over them. Emily was tasked with crafting a series of highly realistic, yet utterly ridiculous, props. Oversized rubber chickens, inflatable pool toys, and a giant banner that would unfurl at the perfect moment. My role was coordination, the mastermind pulling the strings, ensuring every piece of the puzzle fell into place. We called ourselves the Liberation Front, a tongue-in-cheek reference to our goal of liberating the school from Thorne's iron grip. The tension in the weeks leading up to the gala was palpable. Every late-night meeting, every whispered conversation, felt charged with adrenaline. We knew the risks were enormous. If caught, we faced not just suspension or expulsion, but potentially legal action. But the thought of seeing Thorne's stoic facade crumble, of witnessing the collective gasp of the audience, fueled our determination. We were doing this for everyone, for the spirit of the school, for all the students who had suffered under her tyrannical rule. One night, as we meticulously went over the final details, Sarah looked at me, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "Are we really doing this?" she whispered. I just grinned. "We are. And it's going to be legendary." So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have gone through with the prank, knowing the potential consequences, or would you have backed down? The night of the gala arrived, a crisp autumn evening bathed in the glow of streetlights. The gymnasium, usually reserved for basketball games and pep rallies, had been transformed into a lavish ballroom, adorned with white tablecloths, glittering centerpieces, and a stage draped in velvet. Principal Thorne, resplendent in a shimmering gown, stood at the podium, a smug smile gracing her lips as she began her address. "Welcome, esteemed guests, parents, and faculty, to our annual Excellence in Education Gala," she boomed, her voice amplified by the PA system. This was it. My heart hammered against my ribs, a drum solo of impending chaos. At precisely 8:30 p.m., as Thorne was mid-sentence, extolling the virtues of discipline and unwavering adherence to academic standards, Sarah launched Phase 1. The PA system crackled, and then instead of Thorne's stern voice, the unmistakable, ear-splitting sound of a rooster crowing echoed through the gymnasium. Thorne faltered, her eyes darting around, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. Before she could regain her composure, the digital display boards around the gym, which were supposed to be showcasing student achievements, suddenly flashed vibrant images of rubber chickens, complete with captions like, "Thorne's flock," and "Cluck for freedom." A ripple of laughter, tentative at first, then growing in volume, spread through the audience. Thorne's face began to flush a deep crimson. That was Mark's cue. From the rafters, where he had been patiently waiting, he unleashed Emily's masterpiece. A massive banner, several feet long, unfurling slowly to reveal a crudely drawn caricature of Principal Thorne with a chicken head, beneath which blazed the words, "Principal Poultry, ruler of the roost." The gymnasium erupted. Laughter, gasps, and outright cheers filled the air. Thorne, her jaw slack, looked up at the banner, then back at the bewildered audience, her composure rapidly dissolving. She stammered, trying to speak, but her words were lost in the cacophony. That's when I knew it was working. But we weren't done. While everyone was distracted by the banner, I, with the help of a few other conspirators, quietly initiated Phase 3. We had replaced the water in the decorative fountains with bubble bath solution. And as Thorne desperately tried to regain control of the room, hundreds of iridescent bubbles began to float upwards, filling the air, creating a surreal, dreamlike atmosphere amidst the chaos. The younger students in attendance shrieked with delight, chasing the bubbles, adding another layer of delightful anarchy to the scene. Thorne, her hair now slightly askew, was practically vibrating with rage. She marched towards the stage, her voice rising to a shrill crescendo. "Silence. I demand silence." It was then that Sarah, with a mischievous grin, took over the main stage lights. They began to strobe wildly, bathing the room in an alternating pattern of red and blue, turning the elegant gala into a bizarre disco. And as if on cue, the inflatable pool toys, giant flamingos, smiling sharks, and oversized rubber ducks, that Emily had strategically placed beneath the tables, began to slowly inflate, pushing up the tablecloths, causing drinks to spill and hors d'oeuvres to tumble to the floor. The gymnasium was now a full-blown carnival of absurdity. Parents were laughing so hard they were crying. Teachers were trying to suppress their grins, and the students were absolutely beside themselves. Thorne, at this point, had completely lost it. Her severe bun had come undone, strands of hair framing her apoplectic face. She shrieked, a sound that could peel paint. Who is responsible for this outrage? Her eyes, usually so sharp and intimidating, were wide with disbelief and fury. And then the grand finale. Sarah, with a flourish, hacked into the school's emergency broadcast system. Instead of the usual calming voice for emergencies, Thorne's own pre-recorded voice, distorted and sped up, began to play, repeating endlessly. This is Principal Thorne. All students report to detention. All students report to detention. 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 It was looped, a cacophony of her own strictness turned against her. The effect was immediate and hilarious. The audience, now completely uninhibited, roared with laughter, some even mimicking her voice, shouting detention. Detention. Thorne stood frozen, utterly defeated, surrounded by bubbles, rubber chickens, inflatable animals, and the echoing, distorted sound of her own voice. Her excellence in Education Gala had become a spectacle of magnificent ridicule. The local dignitaries looked bewildered, the parents were openly amused, and the students were ecstatic. It was a victory, a rebellion in the truest sense of the word. So, like this video if you were on my side, if you think we did the right thing in standing up to Principal Thorne's tyranny, subscribe for more stories like this, where ordinary people do extraordinary things. And please share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. What do you think about challenging authority? Was this prank justified? I'll see you all in the next story.